Hi friends, Ione here, and today is day 2 in the videos that I'm making for Mental Health Awareness Week. Turns out May is Mental Health Awareness Month, which I think is kind of good timing given everything that's going on in the world. I think we should all take a minute to think about and have a little check-in and see how we're doing with our mental health. Today's video is about getting help, and I think it's one of the most important things to talk about. About a week ago, a friend of mine told me that he had been wanting to tell me something for a while, but just didn't know how to. He'd had an operation a few months back, and since the operation, he has been having really bad nightmares and hasn't been able to sleep and has been waking up and is just exhausted. And after he'd healed from his operation, he went back to work, and he was so tired through lack of sleep that he nearly made a mistake that could have been devastating. He has quite a dangerous job, and he had struggled to tell people about what was going on because as a guy, he felt shame for having nightmares and being scared and therefore not being able to sleep. He was struggling to tell me. I mean, it surprised me because my whole thing, everything I do is all about sharing what's going on and talking about feelings and encouraging people to open up about what's going on with them. He'd felt shame and didn't know how to tell me about it. And it was just this really big reminder of that even though we've got all of these, mental health awareness weeks and months and events, and there is a bit more of a spotlight around mental health, even with that, it is still difficult for people to share and get help. And so, yes, I would like to kick this off by inviting you to give yourself permission to talk about what's going on with you and get help. So how are we going to do it? I think the easiest step, I wouldn't say easy, I take that back. Probably the most simple step is to reach out to a friend or loved one. Somebody who is kind, someone who's a good listener, somebody who you trust, and share with them what's going on. I don't know where you're at with things. You don't have to label it depression or anxiety or suicidal. Just reaching out to somebody and saying, I'm feeling really low and down, and I just want to talk about what's going on with me, or I'm not feeling great, I just wanted to talk to somebody about it. Try that to this loving person that you trust. Try sharing, sharing what you're dealing with. I found that just being able to voice my concerns, voice my fears and worries and what's happening, lightens the load. It takes the pressure off it. It stops it being this scary thing. And just by putting it out on the table, it takes away a lot of that, a lot of the suffering. My friend, for example, that shared about what he was going through, a couple of days later, I checked in to see how he was, and he said that he's been able to sleep. I don't know how much of that was just being able to vocalize what was going on with him and being able to talk about it, but I do think it had a part to play. Just speaking to someone. Who can you speak to? That is a good listener. The next step would be to seek professional help if you're worried, if you are feeling suicidal in a really dark place, if your moods are sort of crippling or debilitating, not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to eat, that's the time to get real professional help. And there's different ways that you can do it. First of all, see what your local, either what your health insurance provides, or if you live in a country where you've got a national health service, see what is available to you and take advantage of what is available to you. I just recently learned that the NHS in the UK, you don't have to be referred to for counselling anymore. You can go straight to get therapy. When I was living in the UK many years ago, I had to get referred by my GP, I had to wait a few weeks, and then I got like a series of sessions. But there was a while. It was very difficult to get that help. It took a long time. So now you can go straight there, which is fantastic. Likewise, if you have medical insurance, if you're living somewhere like the US, see what is available to you or who is available to you through your plan. There's also other ways. There's websites now. Just Google either free talking therapies, free counseling, free therapy, stuff like that, and see what comes up in your area. There's websites like the Samaritans, or call centers or call lines like the Samaritans. the suicide prevention helpline, people like that you can call. First of all, talk about what's going on and then ask where you can get follow-up treatment that is affordable or free in your area. There's also websites now where you can just go online and instantly find a therapist online. It's fantastic. We did an article on Uplifting Content for the blog about ways to get help. And so I'll make sure that the link to that article goes in the comments below so that there's just more numbers and websites and things like that you can look into. But I just want to reiterate again that it is okay to get help when you need it. You are not alone. You don't need to be alone. You don't need to struggle with this alone. The episode of the Uplifting Content podcast that I'd like to leave you with is from an interview with Lori Gottlieb. She is a psychotherapist and author of a book called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, which is actually being made into a TV series. It was one of my favorite books that I read last year. I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's a great episode to listen to if you're thinking about getting therapy, and it's interesting to learn about how she works and what she does. Join me for tomorrow's video on exercise and being in nature. Until then, take care and lots of love. Bye.
What we need to do is offer wise compassion. And I think what you get when we edit the stories in therapy is we're offering wise compassion. We're saying, I want you to look at this story the way you're telling it. And I want you to imagine how the other characters in the story might tell this same exact story. If they wrote this story or they were sitting on the couch here, how would they tell me this story? And where would the stories overlap? And where would they be different, and what accounts for those differences? And if we can start to see the story from another person's point of view, not only do we feel more compassion for the other person, but the plot opens up. Suddenly we can see so much more. And that's where change begins.